Big Drive Energy Monday edition after a lackluster kind of weekend on the PGA Tour. Mitchell's got some takes to get off because he was once again investing some serious American currency in a golfer and didn't turn out the way he wanted. We're going to talk all about the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. Two golfers will be joining majors this year, playing in majors, fresh out of jail, relatively fresh out of the pen onto a major championship venue. We've also got Mulligan Monday. All right, let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy Monday afternoon. How was your weekend? Let's start with that. This is the last Big Drive Energy podcast where Mitchell is 20 years old, or 20 in the 20s, if
There
you
you
will.
go.
He's about to be 30, about to be completely washed, just so washed.
Well, we're actually going to be doing a pod on my birthday, so maybe
yeah, but you'll already be 30 at that point.
That's true. Isn't it kind of crazy?
100% true.
I mean, it is a crazy thought to have that your birthday, like I'm turning 30. That means I've already lived 30 years. Like this isn't
What
my
a thought.
30th. It isn't my 30th year. You kind of think it's like that, you know what I mean? But it's actually your 30th year is behind you. Now my 31st year is upon me. So it is kind of a little bit of a mind bender, if you will. But we are going to do a pod on Wednesday, I would assume. So I will we can have
Birthday
a little
pod.
Yeah, birthday celebration.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what I'll do for it, but we had a great weekend. We definitely tore it up a little bit Saturday night. Dragging a little ass yesterday for Celtics Nuggets.
Well, I was going to say, tell the people what you did. You didn't just have a weekend at home. You had a birthday weekend.
I mean, I mentioned it on the pod last week, but if you didn't hear last week, I went to Boston for the weekend. My
Shipping up to Boston. Oh,
I know. I told her, I was like, we need to play that song when we were almost to Boston just to get the vibes in. What I didn't really realize is how Irish Boston is. Like, it is very heavy, but I guess it's like heavy Irish, heavy Italian. Like the North End, there's this little area of Boston called the North End. Obviously, a little bit like northeast of the main city center.
North End, a little bit north of the actual city itself.
Fuck off. Yes, I understand how that sounded. But it is legitimately, if you look on a map, there's like 30 Italian restaurants. Like there is not anything but Italian restaurants and like bakeries, things like that over there. So that was a really cool area. We went to dinner at this place called Mare, or M-A-R-E. How would you pronounce that? Mare?
But dude, there's so many places where I just take the pronunciation literally, and then you hear somebody pronounce it and it's like this super French accent like insinuated name, and I'm like, oh, I thought it. Oh, what did I do that with? Oh, one time I flew into Michigan for electric forest.
Jesus,
flew into Michigan for Electric Forest. No, I'm not. I'm a little sicky. I flew into Michigan to Electric Forest, and the airport was called. No, here you're gonna have to talk for a second.
No, I think I remember. Did you fly into Detroit? Because yeah, they've got some funky names up there. But there is actually a hotel, or I'm sorry, a restaurant that opened up down the street for us, and it's called LAMASSERIA. And Missy was like, yeah, I think it's Masseria. I'm like, no, it's La Masseria. It's the very Italian. And when we walked in a couple weeks ago, the lady did say it's La Masseria. So yeah, everybody likes to go like over the top with their pronunciations and make it sound eloquent.
Yeah, so this airport was called Muskegon County Airport. One of the worst days of my life flying back out of there. Literally one of the lowest points in my whole life mentally. But I called it Muskegon or Muskogong. I asked somebody that flew into there. I was like, I'm flying into Muskogong. How close is that? And they're like, Muskegon. And I was like, oh fuck. Yeah, it's my pronunciation is very literal. I read a word and I say each letter out loud. And my wife gets on me for this because we're teaching the kid pronunciation, and I have a schnee, I think is what it's called, a shaw. I don't know what a time a shaw. No, but I forget what it is. I'll have to fucking ask my wife
A
and text you
schnee?
it. But no, but apparently that's when you try to pronounce something, but you add stuff to it. So I'll be like, see cat, and the and instead of like the is a shaw or a she or a schnee.
I
Forget what
literally
it
have
is.
never heard about what you're speaking of.
Yeah,
So
and she looks at me and is like, luge the schnee, and I'm butchering the word, but I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And
you don't
so
even know what
now,
the word is called that you're fucking up.
no, but now I know it's like see cat, k, and you just stop. Like it's just the k sound, not the k, the k. Up in,
But so walk me through exactly how you're teaching him the word.
like you would say that. You would say see cat,
So the first letter.
see cat, and you have to. So you're making the sound of the first letter instead of
Oh,
going
okay.
k. It's not at. It's cat. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was a big waste of 5 minutes of everybody's life.
Oh, we're all learning here.
But yes, we went to Mar for dinner, Mare. Phenomenal, like Italian but seafood spot. It was very good. I had a lobster ravioli. I had some oysters on the half shell. And what else did we have? We had scallops as an appetizer, very good.
I love
And
oysters, but they're a very love them or hate them type of food because your girlfriend in our like group chat said specifically, I don't eat boogers.
they do look like boogers. She's not wrong. So yes, I definitely am a big horseradish cocktail sauce guy. I'm more there for the accoutrements. And I heard oysters just get you hard, like they just make you want to throw hips. So I figured that can't
Really?
hurt. You've never heard of that? Or is that clams? I think it's oysters. They make you very isn't virile the word? I know
This
that's
is a
I
fucking
sound like a
dictionary. We need a dictionary for these pods. We need to have fucking a dictionary and
this is where we could
a
really use a
thesaurus in
producer,
front of us.
just a producer to fact check every word we're saying. But yeah, I just had some oysters. So maybe next time you and Kyler are trying to pump out another kid, you eat a bunch of oysters beforehand. It'll really get you standing at attention there. But I had oysters, scallops, lobster ravioli, a couple martinis, really good espresso martini. I'm definitely in my espresso martini era, as the white women would say. I just love a good espresso martini. And then we went to a couple different bars afterwards. So, shocker. Don't really remember the last bar we went to. Apparently there's karaoke and it sucked, so we left. But I was in the brown zone at that point. I really didn't know what was going on.
You didn't get up there and sing Country Road, Take Me Home or something?
No, even when I'm like borderline blacked out, I will not willingly make a complete ass out of myself by singing karaoke. I will make an ass out of myself in other ways, but I will not do it singing karaoke. But all the bars around the hotel we stayed at were all Irish, very Irish bars, which I love. I love a good Irish bar. Walk in, get a Jameson, get a Guinness, have some fucking fish and chips, some sausage rolls, you name it, I'm down for it. So we went to this place called the Black Rose as well. Very cool Irish bar. And then hotel was nice. Everything was nice. It was cold as shit yesterday. The wind was blowing somewhere in the 40-mile-an-hour range, and the high was like 25 degrees. So nobody really had that much fun, like walking outside. Your eyes are tearing up because the wind is just drying you out. You're cold as shit. And we were slightly hungover, shocker. So we ended up Ubering from our hotel, which was less than a mile, to TD Garden. But it was just worth it to be in a car and not walking outside. TD Garden,
you close the doors of the Uber and you open them right back up because you're already there.
like
Or
that Simpsons gif where he walks right in the door and walks right back out.
yeah, or if kind of like a Severance scenario, maybe you drove in the car, but you didn't really drive in the car, or it could have taken you 30 minutes to go a mile.
Luckily, it did not take us very long to get over there. It only took us like 5 minutes, so that was nice. But our Uber driver is hilarious, just absolutely letting it fly right off the bat. She's like, "I think I'm going to quit doing this. I'm going to be a yoga instructor. I'm certified. I just got to go start teaching." I'm like, "Yeah, go do it." Because driving in Boston, I will say, the roads in New Jersey are a joke. Anywhere in the Northeast, really, the roads are a complete joke because they were built by 18th century dipshits that didn't think that automotives cars were going to happen. They thought it was just all going to be horse-drawn carriage. So the road system is an absolute nightmare. When we were trying to get to our hotel, funny enough, so I don't know if you remember in Boston, there's a bunch of tunnels.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember tunnel digging.
You weren't digging
groundhogging it the whole time we were driving in and out of there.
Well, so there's tunnels obviously underground, and then there's roads above them. And so our GPS,
hence the tunnel, there's going to be something above it.
But there's roads above them, not you go fuck yourself, okay? So there's roads above. It's just funny though because the GPS can't tell if you're on the road above or the in the tunnel below it. So we get caught in this tunnel and it's telling us to take a left, and obviously it just doesn't know we're in this tunnel. So then it's got to reroute us. And then I was legitimately trying to turn out of this one intersection, and there was 3 different spots for me to go. Like if you took like a hairpin left, there's one street. If you took a normal left, and then you could go up further and take another left. I'm like, this has got my brain in a fucking blender. So we already missed the one turn because we were in the tunnel. So then we go back up and around, and I make this one turn, and I go in the wrong entrance place, and I end up right back to where we just were. So it ended up taking us like an extra half hour to get to our hotel. Luckily, we weren't in a huge rush. But it took an extra half hour just because the roads are such a nightmare up there. So yeah, Ubering was fine. It took us like 30 minutes after the game. We just stayed in the same parking garage that we parked for our hotel. So we were a ways away from TD Garden, and it still took us like 30 to 40 minutes just to get on the highway because everything you have 3 lanes go down to 1 all of a sudden, and everyone's trying to all jam in the same spot. But other than that, I will say TD Garden is a very cool stadium. Very cool arena, I guess you'd call it. I really enjoyed the arena. I mean, all the banners they have hanging up there is insane between all the Celtics banners, the Bruins banners, and then you've got like BC, you got the Bean Pot and all that. So the amount of banners hanging up was just absurd. But then we had this really cool couple, probably in their late 50s, early 60s, sit right in front of us. And it was one of the scenarios where the chick was the one that never misses a game. She is like the hardcore Celtics fan, very cool lady. And then the guy was like, yeah, I just kind of come when my wife doesn't have anybody else to take or the kids. And he's a big sports fan too, but it was funny because I guess he was a much more hardcore Patriots fan and still is, and she's more of a Celtics fan. So they kind of like get into it. But we talked to them throughout the game just about, the Celtics, how they just getting a little bit of insight, because it's funny when you go to an Eastern Conference game, obviously I'm familiar with the Celtics, but you don't really see them very often. You hear about them on ESPN because they're always talking about them and shit, but you don't watch any of their games. You don't see how Tatum and Brown and those guys operate. So it was a fun game. I really thought we were just going to get the doors blown off us from the jump, because we kind of did. And then we started to come back. I think Derek White, shout out to our boy Derek. I'm very happy for him. He's killing it in Boston. Unfollowed Spencer on Twitter for his Olympic takes. But that dude has a vendetta against the Nuggets. I think he definitely likes to get up 4 games against the Nuggets to kind of show them, oh, this is what you're missing out on, because we drafted Tyler Lydon 2 spots in front of him, who is now, I don't know when the last time Tyler Lydon picked up a basketball. I don't think he plays basketball anymore. And Derek White is having a phenomenal career in Boston. So it just goes to show you. But yeah, D White went off. Those threes he was making were so frustrating because we would claw our way back. He'd drain a dirty three right in somebody's eye hole. And it just really felt like we weren't defending him that much out on the perimeter. Like, get in the dude's face, force him to not shoot a three because he was making it rain. But for the better part of the game, they were shooting over 50% from the field, over 50% from three. And it was kind of funny because Missy goes, I feel like the Nuggets are like good luck Chuck in a way where everybody plays their best game against the Nuggets, it feels like. And at that point, is it the Nuggets defense? Because I thought they actually played very tough D yesterday. They were pretty intense. They were, covering out on threes. They were rebounding really well, all of that. But it just feels like teams make more shots against us for some reason than they do on average. So I don't know if that's on our D or it's just a coincidence, but it felt very true because it feels like every time I look at a box score, any team against the Nuggets is shooting phenomenally from the field. And it bugs you because we couldn't throw a pea in the ocean for the first quarter, couldn't make a fucking single shot. Finally started to make a few. Christian Brown has been phenomenal. And it was funny because the couple in front of us, they're like, who is that guy? Like, not a lot of people know who Christian Brown is. But yeah, overall, Russell Westbrook shooting threes is going to be what officially kills me. If I do die anytime soon, you can fucking put Russell Westbrook's face on my gravestone, because watching him fire wide open, and they leave him wide open, they're begging him to do it. So that is the most frustrating part, is he's got to have the discipline to realize I should not be shooting this. There's a reason they're leaving me wide open, because I don't fucking make these shots at a favorable clip. So yes, Russell, that just pissed me off. Jokic not shooting a single free throw. And funny enough, obviously every fan base is different, but I heard people saying that Jokic was a crybaby. I'm like, did you see the picture of his fucking arm? Looked like he's a scratching post for about half a dozen cats, and he didn't shoot a single free throw. Like, if your superstar had that same scenario, you'd be fucking pissed too. So it was definitely a bit of a ref show. You could tell the Celtics were getting all the calls early, and then, they make a few makeup calls here and there. And the free throws still weren't close. I think they still attempted like at least a dozen more free throws than we did. So it was just a very frustrating, very unsurprising. Like, I did expect that result. But the run that they made at the end of the third quarter into the fourth kind of bummed me out, because it gave me some sort of hope. Whereas in the first two quarters, I was like, fuck this shit. We're hungover. I'm not, my energy's low. I'm just going to cruise through this blowout loss, enjoy the game, eat my sandwich, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here. But still a fun game overall. The Celtics, you can just tell. I love how big of a sports city Boston is. Like, they are just so passionate about their teams. And that is one thing that kind of bums me out about Denver, is it just, I would say for the Broncos, they bring that energy, but it's just not exactly the same, where if the Celtics are playing, it feels like in Boston, everybody knows the Celtics are playing. It's on at every single bar. It's very, very prevalent. Whereas, the Nuggets could be playing, or the Avs could be playing, and everybody else is just going about their day, fucking eating their granola, going for a hike. Like, that shit bugs me.
Yeah, we went to a bar down in Old Colorado City to watch the game, and
greatest bar name I've ever heard, by the way.
Yeah, Thunder and Buttons. It's a great bar. I went to a few Broncos watch parties there back when I was in high school. It was actually, or not high school, college, excuse me. It was the year that the Broncos won the Super Bowl. I went to multiple games there. I remember I watched Broncos Browns there when Peyton Manning was just slinging it all over the yard. But anyways, yeah, we get there and they open at 10 a.m. and the game was at 11 o'clock here. We get there about 10:55 or whatever, to 11, right around 11. The games are always delayed like 10 minutes, but I'm watching the TV up in front of me. We just sit at the bar and there's like the main TV, and I'm watching, and it was commercials for like 10 minutes. And I was like, well, it's got to be the Nuggets game if it's just commercials. And it comes on and it's Avatar, the movie, on the TV. So I'm like, God damn it. I hate asking to change the TV. That she was very nice about it, but it goes back to your point of the best team in the state of Colorado playing right now, 11 a.m. national TV game, and they've got like Avatar on TNT playing at 11 a.m. on a Sunday. So it goes back to your point of Boston being an awesome sports city and knowing that the Celtics are on. And granted, the Nuggets, after winning a title, now have a little bit more of that where people are more dialed in because they are a title contender. But the same thing rings true of you kind of have to ask to get sports on in most bars. And that's super frustrating. I don't particularly love that scenario. What was the chirp level like? Were you into the game? Were you cheering pretty hard, especially when we were making that comeback and getting close? Were you loud and cheering, or were you just chilling and no one was bothering you?
No, I mean, I was definitely like giving the low fist pump to Missy. We were cheering for the team, but I wasn't being very audibly loud by any means. Probably because the couple in front of us was super nice, and the couple to the right of us was also very nice. And I just wasn't trying to piss anybody off. It wasn't worth it. Anything that I said wasn't gonna change the outcome of the game, but it was gonna probably piss people off around me. So I just kept it pretty low key. There was a few times where I audibly got a little bit annoyed about some non-calls, some foul calls that the Celtics got. And it was funny, like the amount of people booing and shit at the foul calls that the Celtics were being called for. Like they were good foul calls because, but I mean, the refs were clearly in the Celtics' favor all day, it felt like. But then even when they would call a foul on the Celtics where Jokic is getting assaulted or somebody's clearly being fouled, the fans were freaking out, like losing their minds. So that kind of pissed me off. I'm like, have the self-awareness to realize that you're getting the way more favorable whistle. You're not going to get every single call throughout a game. That's not how it works. These refs don't work for Boston. They work for the fucking NBA. But it feels like they might as well work for Boston or the Lakers or both, depending on the night. But yeah, I wouldn't say they're the most smart fan base. They're definitely like very passionate, and they really don't give a shit what your logic has to do with anything. It's more just if they have a foul called on their team, they're angry. It doesn't matter if it happened, when they called the foul for Russell blocking that 3-pointer on Tatum and then they reviewed it and overturned it, they were like up in arms. I was like, well, it's pretty clear that if you call a foul on the floor and overturn it, it was pretty concisive evidence that there was no foul on the floor, and they just did not give a shit. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience, and it is always fun to go to away games where the other team cares so much, because we've definitely been to away games. The first one that pops in my head is like the Titans, where the fans are, nothing special, not really very much passion. And it all depends on how good the team is. But I feel like in those certain cities you go to, it's going to be intense no matter what the score is. Because even the people around us, when they were up by 20 something, they're like, oh, this is going to be close at the end. I'm like, I really don't feel like it's going to be. They're still and they were just coming off the heels of the Cavaliers coming back and beating them a couple nights before. So they were a little bit gun shy, but yeah, very, very cool stadium. I would definitely do it again. I learned some things about like their franchise, which was interesting. So the Boston Bruins actually own TD Garden. So the Celtics have to rent it. And I can only imagine what they rent TD Garden for. But I guess they said that the Celtics don't actually end up making that much money, like netting that much, which I don't know how that's the case. But yeah, I guess because they have to, everything they do has to go through the Bruins because the Bruins own TD Garden, which I did not know. But I guess the ownership, and I was also asking him about the whole Belichick Kraft scenario, the couple in front of me, and the one dude goes, yeah, if Kraft were to show up at TD Garden for a Celtics or Bruins game 10 years ago, everybody knew it. Everybody would have given him a standing O. Everyone was also just going crazy for him. And he's like, now if he showed up, he might actually get booed. So I think the way they left shit with Brady, Belichick, and then the whole documentary kind of slandering both of them, it sounds like the Boston area has kind of turned on the Kraft family. So I just kind of thought that was interesting because I asked the guy what kind of where does Robert Kraft stand with the city now after the whole rise and fall of the Patriots? And so I was just kind of picking the guy's brain, but they had the most quintessential Boston accents. They were so hardcore. Missy was like shocked, and it's hilarious because she thinks a New Jersey accent's normal, and then she hears Boston and thinks it's fucking off the wall. I'm like, you guys, it's like the Spider-Man meme. You're meeting each other. You both have accents. You think theirs is crazy. They probably think yours is crazy. And I'm just sitting here sounding normal as fuck. Like, you guys both sound crazy right now.
Yeah, the Elizabeth, Colorado accent isn't quite as deep as anything on the East Coast. But yeah, I think overall a fun game to go to for sure. Obviously, it sucks when you're the opposing team and your team loses, but good fight from the boys, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Derek did kill us with the threes, and just Jamal Murray had no dog in him to start. It was unfortunate. He picked up the dog in the second half, but it was too little, too late. And yeah, Joker shooting 4 less free throws than Luke Cornett. It just goes to show you how that, I feel like that game, I'm not a big officials ruined the game kind of guy, but there was quite a few calls in Boston's favor that kind of drove me nuts. But like you said, I kind of expected exactly what happened. It just, the run that they made to get it really close, and even towards the end getting it really close, makes it worse. Sometimes you just want them to get blown out, but then the discourse afterwards is a lot worse, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
My weekend was great. Appreciate you asking. I had my anniversary weekend. We went down to Colorado Springs, stayed with some friends, or a friend, I guess. Yeah, absolute staycation. But we stayed with a friend Friday night, watched Nuggets just shit on the Pistons, so that was nice. And then Avs flip it around and double dipperoo, double winneroo. And then Saturday we headed over to see another friend and his new child. It's so funny to like go back in time when you have a little baby and see what your friends are like and what your life was like, where you're all just sitting around and this potato just lays in the middle of the room and you have to be vigilant of every move they're making because you don't know what's going to happen next and can't expect anything. But good to meet him. And then we got pedicures, which was cool. We went to the spa, got a little pedicure.
I was going to ask you about that. What are your feelings? Because Missy's definitely tried to get me to come in and get a pedicure and what's a manicure. And I don't know if I can handle people touching my feet like that.
Manicure, I'm all the way out on, but pedicure was great. It was actually really nice. It was a little rich for my blood because it was at a resort. And so everything was done at Garden of the Gods Club where we stayed Saturday night. So the price that we paid was a little insane.
But that set you back for 2 pedicures?
Take a quick guess.
$200.
Yeah, almost double that actually. It was like $370 with tip and everything included. Yeah, it was insane.
Pedicures.
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half, I want to say.
Oh my God, that is fucking highway robbery. Yeah, I actually was just talking to Missy about this last week because I picked her up from the nail salon. She pays to get her nails, toes, fingers and toes done. And they do like a back massage. They do like a calf massage, full boat. She said it's just under like $150 for everything. So you guys paying $175 to $190 for just your feet is wild.
Yeah, you could just tell it was the resort though. And everything was very, like the hotel room was pretty expensive, but it was super nice. Like it was almost like a studio apartment. We had a deck with a view of Garden of the Gods. We had a fireplace. Dinner was really nice. And my Mulligan of the week came at dinner. So it was pretty funny scenario, but I was pretty in the bag by the time we ended up going to dinner because we had
you
at the pedicure. They actually gave us a couple glasses of champagne, and I had already had a few beers. We went to lunch and had a few beers, and then I had a few glasses of champagne, and then I had some wine in the room, and then went to dinner. So I was pretty in it, but dinner was phenomenal. They had, the whole steak. It was like one of the nicer steakhouses in the resort, the nicer one. There's a couple different restaurants. So had a really nice dinner. And then just being on my own time or our own time all weekend was pretty incredible, where you didn't have to like wake up at a certain time or somebody else was waking you up. You just got to get up whenever you wanted. Granted, for me, that's still stupid early in the morning, but it was really nice. And then went to the bar to watch the Nuggets game yesterday, had the Sunday scaries pretty hardcore, which I haven't gotten in a while. So that was interesting. But now we're back to Monday. Weekend's over, and we should probably talk about a little golf at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, well, real quick, what you just mentioned, isn't it kind of funny sometimes how a Monday is almost better than a Sunday? I almost would just rather it be Monday than Sunday
I
because it's
love a
this.
Sunday in a Sunday, but then when you start winding down the end of a Sunday, like if you have an activity to do on a Sunday, that's like Rockies games. I can't wait to go to a Rockies game. But once 4 p.m. hits and the Rockies got lost 11-1, and I know I have to work the next day, and I'm all like half drunk, that's the worst feeling. That's the scaries to a
Oh, the
T.
the come down if you day drink on a Sunday and you're coming down late in the afternoon and yeah, you're staring the barrel of a Monday right in the face, then yeah, you're gonna be pretty fucking bummed out. So I get that.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate ending to a Sunday, but overall, great weekend. Let's get into a little bit of the golf from this weekend, and then a couple of big stories around golf that are pretty kind of funny that they both came out on the same weekend regarding some guys that were in jail and now going to be playing in a couple of majors. So let's get to the golf talk and start with Joe Highsmith. What? Joe Highsmith?
I
Ironically,
I had no
go
I
ahead.
had no clue who the dude who he was. I'm like, who is this guy? And funny enough, Monday Q Info tweeted that if this was 2026, Joe Highsmith wouldn't even been in the field. So the fact that he goes on to win at PGA National, made the cut on the number, fires back-to-back weekend 64s, most quiet out of nowhere win that I've and to be fair, I didn't get to watch a lot of the golf on Sunday. We'll get into it, but Daniel Berger, I'm so fucking I legitimately am done gambling on golf. I think I'll throw out one pick a week and I'll gamble on the majors, but I am done gambling on these one-off fucking boo-boo bullshit PGA Tour events. Tell me a winner, like just look at the broad spectrum of who's all won this year. Tell me who's picking these winners.
There, it's got to be friends of the program, friends of the people that are winning. Because I did see a tweet on, I want to say it was Sunday morning, where somebody stole our idea. It's a super original idea where we tweet out every Sunday, Happy Sunday, who's winning PGA Tour event with a poll. Pretty intuitive tweet, if you ask me. But we do that every Sunday, and even the PGA Tour is catching on. The streets are watching, if you will. They're watching the Big Drive Energy Twitter account, which if you're not following us on that, make sure you're following us on all the socials at Big Drive Energy on Twitter and TikTok, Big Drive Energy Golf on the Insta. But anyways, and if you're watching this video, thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up on the YouTube. We'd appreciate that. Anyways, so there was a guy that tweeted, who do you got winning this event? And the first reply was some random golf guy, and he's like, Joe Highsmith, who's 4 back at this point, and just coming off a 64, which if you paid enough attention to golf, a guy shoots 64 or super low, especially for a player like that. Like, it's not Scotty Scheffler shooting 64. It's a guy that has a couple of missed cuts, and he was in the 120s, 130s on the PGA Tour in FedEx Cup points for the last 4 weeks. And some guy goes, Joe Highsmith, he's a grad of my college, Pepperdine, I believe is where he went, Pepperdine University, 64 yesterday. He's hot. He's going to go again today. And I just looked at that and was like, what a fucking idiot. Like, this guy's so stupid. And even in my text thread to you and a couple other guys that we bet golf with, I was like, there's 4 or 5 guys at the top, because I was propping up your Danny Berger pick, who I also rode on with you. And I was like, yeah, there's a couple of guys primed to shoot just 74. tomorrow. And Highsmith was one of the guys I named, and he ends up winning the event and making the cut on the number, and then winning the tournament hasn't happened since 2016. So 9 years since that's happened. And for it to be a guy like a Joe Highsmith to do it was a pretty incredible feat. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know who Joe Highsmith is. Usually you have a lot of background info, but this is now 2 times in the last, I want to say 6 months, because Peter Malnati won last fall. I don't even think it was like a fall series event. I think it was an actual event, but towards the fall part of the schedule, where guy with a bucket hat wins the event. He never takes it off. The video of him in the clubhouse after grabs a bottle or a cup of champagne, glass of champagne, and is given a speech in a bucket hat. And there were so many funny memes coming out of it, and like Joe Highsmith going to accept the trophy, and it's like this Spanish dude with a fucking sombrero on that's like the size of like 6 feet wide. And so, and I believe like I said, don't know Joe Highsmith all that well, but I believe he's left-handed as well. Does nothing super special.
I did not know he was lefty. They were highlighting his putter, and I had to double take for a second. I'm like, oh, he's left-handed. So I can confidently say I don't think I've ever seen the dude hit a golf shot. I will say though that there's all these new analytics, these new stats. I mean, I'm just not really like up to snuff with them. There's a lot of people using data to bet on golf, which maybe I should try some of that, because going off vibes is really fucking putting me down in the dumps here. But his number of like good drives, that I think that's a statistic that they're measuring, or good quality drives. It's something that sounds like it's not even a statistic. It just sounds like something that you would come up with off the top of your head. But I guess these last like handful of events, he has the highest percentage of like good tee shots, which I guess was a stat that a lot of people are looking at this week going into it. He had something like 88% of his tee shots were good quality. I don't know what the line is for that, where they draw the line at a good quality tee shot. But yeah, pretty interesting. I really did not see it coming. Real quick, while we're talking about it.
Oh, go ahead. Got some info. Shout out to AI. On the PGA Tour, a good tee shot is typically considered to be a driving distance that is around or above the tour average, which is approximately 290 yards, combined with a high fairway hit percentage, meaning the ball consistently lands in the fairway on a majority of tee shots. So my tee shots at 295, 30 feet off the fairway, 30 yards probably is more accurate, is not a good tee shot. And your tee balls at 265 dead down nuts of the fairway, right down Broadway, are neither a good tee shot. So
yeah, so
like neither of us know really what a good tee shot is.
Hey, first of all, I want you to put some respect on my name. I've still been grinding on my speed, and I actually played a round at the Sim last Friday and fired a little 68 burger. Not to brag, went pretty low, but it was at Cabot Links, the Canadian golf course, fire track. And I honestly, for a second, I was hitting it so well that I thought that it was like set on easy mode. I thought that there was a setting and then I realized that they can't change like your ball statistics. Like the TrackMan just reads it and it doesn't make it less. I don't think they can make it slice less or hook less or whatever.
Were you playing the senior tees?
No, I'm playing the tips from 6,900 yards. So I am starting to visibly hit it a little bit further. 6,900 at sea level, that's pretty big for you there, Big Shoots, because you come out here to sea level, you'll be hitting your tee shots fucking 265. I recall you hitting a 9-iron in South Carolina about $120. So I don't want to hear you fucking chirping a word that I say. But I hit it so good. I honestly thought that it may have me a little fucked up. So the golf game for me personally, and my buddy Rohan that I played at the simulator with, he goes, you really don't you don't take time off, do you? You're always like practicing. And relatively, I mean, some winters I practice more than others, but this winter I've kind of been, I wouldn't call it grinding, but I've been practicing my game quite a bit. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot and I'm starting to swing it a little harder. So, and I honestly can say So I played last week as well, actually outside on a golf course. The harder driver swing is still not fully comfortable in my game. I still don't like really taking it all the way back because I'm starting to feel it a little bit where my right elbow, I don't keep it so tucked into my side. My hands get a little higher and I get a little deeper and make a bigger turn. So I don't really quite feel 100% comfortable gaming that yet. But when I was at the simulator, I was just ripping on it. I don't think I missed a fairway. I think I missed one green. So I was just striping it, Joe Highsmith style to bring that full circle.
Isn't that such a good feeling? And I feel like golf is somewhat like this, but sim golf is definitely like this. Once you get in a groove, either bad or good, it stays that way for the entirety of a sim round. Like you just hit a few wonky and you cannot get it back on track. And maybe it's just me, but I've seen it with groups where, you know, we play our league every Thursday night. Won my match last Thursday, no problem. Was 1 under through 8 holes.
How you doing?
Just absolutely gaming it. And let me say this. So I looked like a complete asshole. I had to give 2 shots up, and ironically, the 2 shots that I was giving, which is fine by me, I should be giving a couple of shots to most players. I made birdie on one of the holes and par on the other, and he made like doubles. So ironically, I won the 2 holes that I had to give a shot on.
Nothing better.
I look like a complete sandbag and fuck because I was hitting it so well. There was one par 3. We played PGA National as well. So the par 3 on the back, we played the back 9, 16 or whatever, where Taylor Montgomery had the complete fucking meltdown this weekend. That same hole, 5 of our 6 guys in our group who are all decent players, like not over the top good, but decent players. I was the only one that didn't hit it in the water. And I was like, Jesus, guys. I hit it to like 12 feet and missed the putt and made par. And I was like, easy hole. And it was like, you know how it pops up with the scores? It was like par, other, double, triple. And I was like, Jesus Christ, guys. This hole took us 45 minutes and it was a 160-yard hole.
Making this game look really hard here. But no, there is definitely something to momentum in a group as well, where you watch other guys struggle, you're going to struggle, and you watch other guys hit it well, and you're generally going to hit it better. But let's take it back to the first round, because we had Jake Knapp fire 59, 17th. What is it? The 1759 in PGA Tour history, on by far the hardest golf course. Well, up until this week, apparently, that it's ever been done on. And so the golf course definitely took a ration of shit for that.
Yeah, somebody said they tweeted in the weekend, like, oh yeah, they fucking had to set up PGA National like a muni.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, though, that I saw Michael Kim's tweet kind of summarizing the week this week, and he said by Sunday that the greens were so cut down and so fucking tightly mown that, you know, in the wintertime when you're playing and there's no grass on the greens and your putter, like you try to set it down and lean on it and it like slides out from under you. Are you listening to me right now, or are you just?
Yes. No, I'm looking up the 59s, but yes, I do understand what you mean.
Okay, because Michael Kim said that the greens were so slick that his putter wouldn't even stay underneath him. His putter was sliding out from under him when he was trying to set up to putt, because that's how closely mown and tight they had it on Sunday, because they just didn't want the course to get embarrassed. But talk about just like a collapse from a few guys on the back 9. And in all honesty, this is the kind of better I am. I didn't even look at Berger's scorecard. I obviously knew that he didn't top 10. And I was just brewing on that the entire drive home from Boston, just fucking pissed off as all get out. But I just looked at his scorecard. He went 3 over the last 5 holes. If he just plays those last 5 holes in even par, he top 10s. So that pisses me off even more, knowing that and seeing that. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? But Jake Knapp blew up on the back 9. There was a lot of guys on that back 9 that struggled on Sunday. And obviously Joe Highsmith did not. So
Joe Highsmith had no fucking problems.
Yeah, it felt like one of those where, while everybody else was faltering, and we've talked about it previously on a course like this that's tougher, you've got guys that can go 4 or 5 over in a 4 or 5 hole stretch. But if you're playing really good, you can make up legit 6-7 shots in those 5 holes. So if you're making birdies and everybody else is making bogeys, you're making up a lot of shots very quickly. And obviously we saw the scores over the weekend were significantly higher than they were over day one, because Jake Knapp, he had to do the last 3 days to win it would have been to shoot. He was already 12 under. All he needed was 8 under the last 3 days, and he ends up not being able to get it done, which I'm sure. And do you know what? Okay, so let's just get into this. Daniel Berger, I think he's got something physically wrong with him. And I think the sportsbooks low-key knew it, because DraftKings, no free ads, DraftKings would not give me a cash out. After he was T2 going into the weekend, nothing offered, no cash out suspended the entire fucking time. So I was not able, because I honestly did look into, like, if it would have been $500, it was to win 720, 200 to win 720. I honestly would have probably, or 760, I would have taken the 500. And he was T2. It felt like a pretty sure thing at that point. But there was reports that he was struggling on the golf course on Friday, like going down to one knee constantly, just not looking physically correct. And I feel like it was a little bit of fucking insider knowledge from these sports books, and they royally bent me over, along with Daniel Berger, and he's had this happen to him. I forget what tournament, was it the Amex earlier this year? If it wasn't that, it was another event. He was like top 3 going into the final round and absolutely shit down his leg the last day. So now he's kind of being looked at as the dude who doesn't have the ability to close. And I saw Michael Kim say that Berger's going to make the Ryder Cup team. And I would agree if he can continue to get in contention, but he's got to finish. Like, you can't have 3 great days and then play like shit every Sunday you're in contention and expect to make the Ryder Cup team. So that just it really bummed me out. Like, I am officially, if I would have won that bet, I would have parlayed that into, like, I would keep it rolling. I am not depositing back on the sports book anytime soon. I'm fucking, and
you're taking a step away from the table for real.
I say, yes, I say that. I mean, honestly, gambling on golf is a sickness. It is one of the hardest things to gamble on. When you look at this,
we talked about it last week, that the biggest issue with it is all the odds you're looking at. If you're looking at any other normal bets on a sports book for one game, you're looking at minus 200, minus 250, maybe plus 150, something like that. And in golf, what seems like a lock is a plus 400, and it's still that insane that it's plus 400. That's like the lowest level team in the NFL beating the best team in the NFL on a week. And it's plus 400 for 4 days. So that's where your mind gets fucked up, because the odds are so crazy, especially even to top 10, that, like, if you're taking bets that are even money, where it's like a Scotty Scheffler top 10 or a really good player top 20, that's kind of more of the bets that you make. That we're doing this for fun and we're giving out our card, and we've hit some with Aberg and Isaiah Salinda and stuff, but overall, you don't want to. I'm not the guy that's going to give out, like, when you see a tout or whatever they call themselves give out I got a money line winner at minus 300. Cool. So does everybody else, and they're going to win 9 out of 10, and you're going to be right 9 out of 10 times. And that stuff doesn't impress me. What does impress me, though, is Jake Knapp's 59. It's just golf. Like, there's no other way to put it than golf. The fact that he just demolished this golf course on Thursday, doesn't even win the event, struggles to go more than 2 or 3 under the rest of the way after looking unbeatable on Thursday. You can never win a tournament on Thursday, but you can certainly lose it. I want to give you a little quiz and see if you can get some of the other guys on tour that have shot 59. Now, looking at this, we'll go after 2000. David Duval did it in 99, Chip Beck in 91, Al Geiberger in 77.
Real quick, I just want to read this off. So this was the top 10 at PGA National this week. Joe Highsmith, Jacob Bridgman, JJ Spahn, Max McGreevy, Ben Griffin, Russell Henley, Jake Knapp, Michael Kim, Eric Van Rooyen, and Jordan Spieth. Now, maybe 3 of those guys that you would expect to be inside of the top 10. I mean, Max McGreevy, who the fuck's that? Who's Jacob Bridgman? Ben Griffin somewhat, JJ Spawn, okay.
Ben Griffin just top tens. That's what he does. I swear to God, that fucking
I guess
aviator
so.
wearing fuck is on the top of the leaderboard every Sunday.
Yeah, but that's just goes to show you, like, I guarantee you Bridgman's odds to top 10 were easily plus 6, 7, 800. McGreevy definitely in the same ballpark. Russell Henley, Jake Knapp, Michael Kim, and Jordan Spieth were probably the only guys that had a heavy handle on them at, to finish in the top 10. So it just is so fucking frustrating betting on golf. It is truly like you gave out Sepp Straka, misses the top 10 by a shot. So,
He played terrible on Sunday. He shoots 3-4 under, and he's firmly in it.
Well, at least he shot 1 under. Fucking Daniel Berger was besides him and Knapp and Doug Gim and Ricky Fowler, I guess, were the few guys inside the top 25 that shot over par on the last day. And Taylor Montgomery ended up shooting over par as well.
Well, yeah, it was insane how it looked like guys were playing different golf courses with some of the way the scores were not like in the range of scores on the weekend from everybody at the in the top 20 going into the weekend was insane. It was either you're shooting a couple over or you're shooting 6, 7 under. I feel like it was just an insane variance in that. But let's get back to this because 59 is impressive. The other players on tour to shoot 59 since 2000. See if you can get any of them. I know you probably know a few of them. I think the most shocking one because he's done it twice and actually shot 58 on tour. That's
Jim Furyk.
Yeah. Doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, 27.
If you give me the year in the golf course, I bet I can get pretty close.
Okay, let me flip this bitch around. All right, 2017 Sony Open.
Holy shit, 2017 Sony Open. Never mind. Who is it?
Okay, well, let me go quick. 2010 Paul Goydos, 2010 Stuart Appleby at the John Deere in Greenbrier.
I remember
Justin Thomas, 2017 Sony Open, fired a 59er.
Wow.
2017 Career Builder Challenge.
Fuck. Is it a big name that I would know?
He's the like second level of tour names right now.
No.
Adam Hadwin.
Oh, yep. Okay.
The 2018 Wyndham Championship.
Dude, I am really unimpressed with how little I remember these.
Brandt Snedeker.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
2019, a military tribute at the Greenbrier.
Bryson
also shot 59 there. That was
Bryson did it, but who was it that was it Gary Woodland?
It was Kevin Chappell, kind of the same boat.
These guys are like fighting to get on tour right now. They're not even fucking sniffing the PGA Tour, and they've shot 59. Like,
right. Okay. 2020 Northern Trust. This is a very top of the line PGA Tour player.
Scotty?
Maybe the best. Yep. There you go. The 2024 Travelers. You were there, not for this 59, I don't think, but you were at the tournament.
Oh, who did it?
He finished T9.
Tell me.
Cameron Young makes sense.
Oh, yes.
To me,
yes.
Jake Knapp makes sense to shoot 59. So does Cameron Young. Like, those guys are the guys that you expect to shoot 59, not fucking Paul Goydos and Jim Furyk.
Yes. So while we're on this topic real quick, I just need to say this. Everybody needs to stop engagement farming on Jake Knapp's golf swing because I see it all over social media. Everyone just loves to cream their shorts over how smooth his swing is, how effortless he makes it look, and how much speed he has. It's like, yes, he swings it fast and it looks good, but there's just every Twitter, Instagram, golf account is posting Jake Knapp's swing like it's the second coming of Christ himself. It's a very impressive.
I think they do that every week. Like 2 weeks ago is Ludwig and his Swedish in a Swedish factory built swing Dylan Dethier
blazing.
Real quick though, just while I'm going over this, there's only a couple more. There's only one more actually. The 2024 John Deere. Somebody did it last year. In that 2019, a military tribute, the Kevin Chappell 59. He finished T47 in the fucking event. That
just
is
goes to show you why
insane.
Chappell's still not out there right now. He's fucking.
Yeah,
He's having a
there's
rough
only
go of
like
it.
a couple winners too. That like of the 17 rounds, not even it's like a 4 out of 17 that win the tournament. And then 2024 John Deere. Do you remember who did it last year in the John Deere?
Wasn't it Sepp?
Hayden Springer
Oh my God, it's
in
Hayden.
round 1. But yeah, Jake
Oh,
Knapp.
Sepp had a chance and rinsed one on 18, shot like 61.
Yeah, exactly. And then Jake Knapp. So all those are all the 59s. Still an impressive feat, but like, would you rather? It's crazy because if you look at it, it's more impressive to shoot 59 than win a tournament, but you'd rather win a tournament than shoot 59, right? Or like, is 59? If Jake Knapp hadn't won before and very recently, it still sucks to blow a lead and shit all over yourself on Sunday on the back 9, and because he was still tied for the lead Sunday until he made triple, but your name's in the record books for forever. And on a very, very small list to shoot 59, and he's got a title. So didn't win it in the same tournament, but
I
it
mean,
just
I
goes
would
to show you
definitely
how
take
golf is.
I would take a tournament win over a 59. And like you said, it goes to show you how golf is because water is generally going to find its level. Everybody, I mean, the course record was set, 5 different times on Thursday? Course record
Yeah.
was 64, and there was 5 guys that shot better than that, which is just bananas. And obviously the course was much easier this year. But then, yeah, what he ends up shooting 1 under the rest of the tournament and losing the event. So
And
talk about all-time bad beat for having Jake Knapp like to win. That's rough.
and this is actually a kind of a funny stat. Real quick, we'll just go back to Joe Highsmith. Joe Highsmith is the only player in the history of the PGA Tour to make 3 hole-in-ones in a season, and he did it last year in 2024.
Oh, okay. That's where I remember him from. I remember him making frequent hole-in-ones with the bucket hat. Yes, that is okay. I mean, that's what you're more known for than your golf career. But I mean, credit to that guy, and that is truly what Monday Q Info has been pounding the table about is the amount of depth. You don't think that any of these guys are going to win, and then you look at some of the guys at the top of the leaderboard, and they are dudes that are in the bottom 10% of odds that nobody expects to win. Like the depth on the PGA Tour is so crazy right now that truly anybody in the field could probably go win that event. I would take majors out of it, but any regular season event, I genuinely feel that anybody in that field could win that event. So, kudos to Joe Highsmith. Like nobody knew his name, and now he's going to be in pretty much all these events going forward. So,
yeah, let's talk about another couple players that are going to be in majors this year, both semi-fresh out of jail. Start with Angel Cabrera. He committed to the 2025 Masters with the past champion exemption, so he'll be able to play in this the rest of his life. He'll be able to go to Augusta National every April like Sandy fucking Lyle. See if he busts out the overalls or the suspenders for this one. But he served more than 30 months in prison and now will be playing in the Masters in 2025. We talked about maybe getting him on our Calcutta. Maybe not a bad idea. He's going to shoot like 80, but it will be fun to see Angel Cabrera in the Masters, and even some of the guys, the past champions, when they go to the Champions Dinner, are like excited to see Angel Cabrera. So, what are your thoughts on him? Because that's got to be one of the coolest things, I think. And granted, no matter where your life goes, a lot of the guys, it doesn't go this poorly after winning a green jacket. But just knowing when you win it, like, so let's say a 22-year-old wins a green jacket. For the next 50 plus years, you're going to be able to tee it up in the best tournament in the history of golf, no matter what. You just mark your name down. You're there. You got a tee time on Thursday morning. Like that's incredible.
right. Yeah, that's why so many of those dudes want to go win Augusta, win the Masters, because they know they have a locked up spot to play it as long as they can walk around and swing a golf club. But yeah, the whole Angel Cabrera thing is somewhat shocking because the Masters is so kind of on their high horse about morality and not letting live players in or whatever. I know that Augusta's made some comments about that. And so you let a guy that openly like assaulted his wife and shit come back and play in the Masters. Don't necessarily agree with it, but I mean, Angel's an electric factory. And he is the kind of dude at his age that can still go out and fire a number. I think, didn't he, the event he got out of jail, the event he played in after he got out, like, I think he won it, or he finished top 5. I know he played really well. So this guy, all he knows is golf. He's just one of those old school dudes that got himself out of a very, very bad situation, very humble beginnings, no money in a third world country, and played his way out of there. So literally all he knows is golf. And Cabrera is just the kind of guy that you would never be shocked if you see him just fire 67 at a major. He's just got that kind of game.
Yeah, and on to another story out of the golf world this weekend of a guy making his way from behind bars to the Open Championship. So this is a little different, but Ryan Peake. So Ryan Peake was one of the premier golfers growing up in Australia. He won in 2017, him and Cam Smith, 2010, him and Cam Smith, 2017, he was in jail. 2010, him and Cam Smith won an Australian junior event together. And basically, this guy was on the fast track to DP World Tour, PGA Tour, Live Tour, who knows what. But he's 31 years old and won this past weekend at the New Zealand Open, which gives him a automatic bid to the Open Championship. Basically, as the story goes, he served 5 years in prison for assault in 2014 because he became a member of the Rebels motorcycle gang, and shortly after his 21st birthday, received that 5-year prison sentence. And he's had a coach. He has the same coach as Minwoo Lee. So now Minwoo Lee, I guess, called him Sunday morning, was like, hey, go win this thing. Kind of an insane story. Just goes back to show you how golf has that way of giving us such good stories if you actually look. Now, I'm not saying we looked hard for this one, but it was kind of all over social media. But guys go and do things for 10 plus years, do God knows what, and golf kind of always brings them back. And not everybody ends up winning or ends up playing in majors like this guy's going to do. But it's a cool story for a guy that was, who knows what he thought about his life or what he was going to do when he was sitting in prison for 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what kind of gym setup they've got there in prison, but the fact that he goes and sits in prison for 5 years and still comes out and can play golf at that level is pretty fucking impressive. But yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in second chances for certain people. Depends on what the crime is, but it sounds like he did the time, did the crime, did the time, and now he's back out. And I mean, golf can be a lifeline for people as well. I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, golf is a way out, just kind of like what we were talking about with Miguel Cabrera. So many people, get put in bad situations, and golf gives them a lifeline. And so it sounds like this dude is going to have a shot to fulfill some dreams and kind of come full circle. And in all honesty, I bet if you asked him, like, obviously serving 5 years in prison sucks ass, but I bet he's a better person for it now. Like, and obviously it's easy to say once it's all said and done, it probably fucking sucked. But I'm sure he learned a lot, and that's probably helping him, in his golf career at this point.
Yeah. So, and winning this as well. Now he's second in the order of merit on the Australian Tour, and the top 3 players at the end of the year get a DP World Tour card. So he's that much closer to that. And his quote, as they were interviewing him post round, the quote, "I've just changed my life. This is what I do. I want to be here and just play golf. My story is what it is, but I'm just out here playing golf." So now at 31, he's essentially flipped his entire life around, and we're going to see him at the Open Championship here in July, and who knows, maybe on the DP World Tour in 2026.
31 is not old either in golf. There's guys that have come out in their early 30s and really like started their career there. So we could be hearing a lot more from this guy down the road. You never know.
Yeah, let's get to Mulligan Monday and finish up our show with one of our favorite segments. This is where something happened to us in the past week. We wish we could go back and take a mulligan on. Look at that graphic. If those of you are just listening, watch on the YouTube. If you're watching on the YouTube, give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate that. I'll start with my Mulligan Monday. As I mentioned earlier, it came from the bar or the nice steakhouse that we went to on Saturday night. So I was a little tuned up, and it's a resort. So you can, like at my course, which is technically, I guess, a resort, my home course, that I'm a member at, because there's a hotel and shit. You can just put your member number down or your room number down and pay for it that way. And so we have this really nice dinner, steaks. Although I will say, like, the one bugaboo that they had and the mistake that they made was we got a charcuterie board before, which is one of my favorites. And then the dinner came out, no joke, 5 to 10 minutes after that. Yeah, so I hadn't barely gotten into my salami and my fucking prosciutto and some of my assorted nuts, and my steak was already in front of me. So didn't have a chance to eat that. I ended up taking it back to the room, ate it the next day. But the check came, and it already had, like I said, I'm a little drunk. Check came, and it just had the total, and it had room number, and it had signature. So I just just signed it and put it back in the fucking thing. And our waiter was so nice. He was like this high school, probably maybe early college kid that was just super nice. He reminded me of, oh God, there's a movie character. He had curly hair. Super nice kid, but he just reminded me of this like very nervous kid that's working at this high-end steakhouse in this resort. And he comes back and he goes, there's a little bit of an issue. And I was like, what? I was like, did my fucking card get declined? I was like, that's so embarrassing. And he goes, there's no credit card in here. So I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? I even pulled it out, and I must have just gotten in my state, just gotten confused by there already being a tip area. Because normally they just give you the check. You have to give the card, and then they come back, and then you go tip and all that stuff. So it already tipped on it nicely, but there was no credit card in there. So he had
You're
to
like,
bring
here's
me back
my imaginary dollars, sir. You could have put fucking $1 million in the tip line.
Yeah, I thought about some stupid fucking jag-off dad joke to say, but then I was like, this kid's too nice. Just here's my credit card. Go fucking run it. So yeah, that's my Mulligan of the week.
Okay. Well, mine is relatively similar at Mare or whatever the fuck dinner spot we went to in Boston. I too was a little tuned skied. Drank a Grey Goose martini, and that probably just fucking set me over the edge. But I went to the bathroom, and they were all just one holers. And I don't understand that, like how these big restaurants have one men's bathroom and one women's, and it's just one fucking toilet. Like that blows my mind. But I forgot to lock the bathroom door, and fucking dude just rips open the door, and I'm just rocking a piss. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, God damn it. I just cannot stand when I fucking do that shit to myself. And you're fucking in the zone. You're peeing with one hand. You got your phone in the other hand, checking Twitter and shit. And dude just rips the door open. I'm like, oh, fuck me. I'm such a fucking idiot. And
at least you're pissing though, and not doing a number 2, because that's so embarrassing if you get busted into and your pants are down and you're fucking.
Remember when I did that on a flight? Didn't I tell you about that? That was
I think that was one of your Mulligans of the week.
Yes. So apparently I have a problem with not locking the door when I take a piss. And then the guy was like standing there afterwards, and I had to say something. I was like, sorry, bro. He's like, oh, you're good. I was like, yeah, I'm an idiot. So yeah, I honestly, I had forgotten about that. I meant to write it down, but I literally just came back to me. I was like, what did I do? What did I fuck up? And I was like, oh yeah, just forgot to lock the door, and I was taking a piss. So never fun when somebody just walks in and sees your horn. So I don't think that's what that guy wanted to see out for dinner that night, but mistakes happen. So just live and learn. I'm never going to, my effort going forward for the rest of 2025 is not to forget to lock a bathroom door anymore.
That's your New Year's resolution. New year, new you.
Yeah. Maybe my 30th. I'm turning over a new leaf.
Yeah.
That's the old me. Me in my 20s would fucking let dudes walk in on me taking a piss or shit, whatever. This year, nobody's walking in on me. I'm fucking like a steel trap in that bathroom.
Steel trap in the bathroom. We appreciate you all tuning in to this episode of Big Drive Energy. Big Drive Mitch's last episode, being in his 20s. We'll be back on Wednesday, same time, same place. Check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all the socials. We'll be back Wednesday with Mitchell's birthday episode, Big 3-0, on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, same place. We'll talk to you then. Peace.